welcome to the Revise Spotlight Series, RSS for short. We're going to be doing some conversations about Zuma and all the fun things that you're doing.
Awesome.
So to kick it off, tell us a little bit about how you got into multifamily. What was the inspiration to come into this industry versus another?
Like many people, I kind of fell into this industry actually. Me and my co-founder were building a tech-enabled Airbnb property management company and launched that in 2019, grew to dozens of properties in 13 different cities. And then COVID hit and basically just completely destroyed travel, completely destroyed that business. And we went from making, I think $500K a year to burning $100K a month in 5 days. Wow. Because we had all these vacant properties in 13 different cities in the middle of a pandemic and had nobody traveling. So what we ended up doing was taking all these vacant properties and all our existing employees and turning it into a virtual leasing office because we needed to lease all these properties long term. So in the process of basically building our own leasing agent office, we discovered the problem of leasing and how painful it is and realized that it wasn't only a problem for us, but it was a problem for many other companies. So that's when we kind of pivoted and started building Zuma.
Interesting. So talk to me a little bit more about Zuma and how, so as you're understanding the pain points, what are some of the main pain points that Zuma's solving today?
Yeah, listen, I think the biggest one is that property management companies spend so much time, money, effort on marketing dollars, generating leads, but the stopgap is when they generate all those leads, actually converting those leads into tours, right? For many reasons, 60+% of renters schedule tours on evenings and weekends. And if that's happening on evenings and weekends and you don't have sufficient support during those hours, those leads are being made to wait till the next day, the following day, and are significantly less likely to convert. So I think the biggest one is just ensuring that every property management company, rain or shine, no matter what hour of the day, can get an immediate response for their leads and increase the lead to tour conversion rate.
Nice. That's awesome. So yeah. There are a few solutions out there that kind of do similar things today. What would you say is if you're talking to somebody, what's the one piece that you're this is the thing that I have to highlight that Zuma does that separates you out from the rest of the market?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for us right now is what we're noticing with a lot of other companies is there's this handoff mechanism where basically when the AI gets stuck in a particular conversation, that'll get handed off to the PMC's leasing team, right? But if that's getting handed off on the evenings and weekends and your leasing agents aren't there to support, there's going to be a significant drop-off rate. There's going to be confusion in that process, etc. So the biggest difference between us and everybody else is we actually have our own internal human team of leasing agents that have been trained on your properties and are sticking with your properties to learn the process, learn the building, learn the nuances, and basically take that handoff rate from, in some cases 50% to 0%, because we own the whole conversation. We ensure that every lead that comes into your system end to end is communicated through us, and the tour is scheduled on your leasing agent's calendar. So we are literally taking away the job function of having to respond to leads for leasing agents to now opening up your calendar, looking at the scheduled tours and going and doing those physical tours.
I'm sure you have the math on this, in terms of time savings, how much are you saying that per leasing agent or per property, are you saving per time by eliminating this function?
Yeah, so everybody throws out numbers, and in some cases they're vague, but what we see is roughly it could be up to 2 hours per day. So it depends on the property itself. I actually am a leasing agent on the weekends. So some of our clients' properties are in LA, so I go to the properties, I actually become a leasing agent, work with them, learn the process. And in my situation, I'm having to respond to a lead, check their system, figure out the answer, and it's just so manual. And what you realize when you're actually working on site is that there's so much of the work that's offline work, meaning a resident walks in and you're answering those questions. A tour comes in and you have to go and do that physical tour. So it's very difficult to expect leasing agents and on-site teams to jump back into conversations if it's handed off when they're out and about doing tours, talking to maintenance people, talking to vendors, etc. So that's why we saw this problem as very important. My co-founder actually worked as a leasing agent for 9 months after quitting his job at SpaceX. So he worked at SpaceX for a little bit, and then worked for his dad's company, but then eventually worked at a family-run property management company as a leasing agent. So we have really deep understanding of the problem set, and I don't think many other companies have been that close to the problem as we have.
Okay, I got a hot take then for you. If you were to build your ideal tech stack, end-to-end for leasing, what would you start with in terms of like how you capture your audience? What would you start with for resident communication? What would you use for your CRM? What would you use for your tour software? What would you use for your PMS software? Like ideal tech stack.
Okay. Well, I think lead generation, I mean, everybody knows all the ILSs, so if I were to be doing this, it would, one, depend on my occupancy and how many vacancies I have. I'd probably, what we see is highest converting is usually Zillow leads or apartments.com leads, even though they're the most expensive. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably start with those two and see how far I can get. Leasing, I'd use Zuma as a solution. We really like working with Knock, and even though RealPage owns them, I think the product is very purpose-built for the on-site team, and it's very easy and intuitive. Mm-hmm. Our integrations with Knock are also super deep, so it's the deepest integration we have, far more than other things. So we leave notes in this. So anything the leasing agent does in Knock, Zuma is basically doing. So if a leasing agent is in the middle of a conversation and they want to pass it off to Kelsey, which is the AI, they can just transfer the lead over and we can take it over. So I think I'd probably choose Knock as the CRM. PMS, I mean, out of the big three, probably be the RealPage PMS or something like that. Nice. And then we partner with some of the tour companies. Tour 24 is great. Yeah. I like Rent Grata as a product, not a customer, but I think it's a cool idea. So I'd probably recommend Rent Grata as well.
Very cool. I love that. Yeah. So final thing, you guys just launched a trailer for your new podcast, Humans of Multifamily. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that. Tease it here. Yeah. Obviously, it'll be live by the time this airs, but tell us a little bit about it and where people can find you.
Yeah, totally. So Zuma just launched a new podcast called Humans of Multifamily. So it's HOMF will be the kind of acronym. And really the purpose behind the podcast is we really feel that there are many super great educational podcasts out there that talk about the ideas and innovations of many of multifamily's leaders, right? But there's not enough podcasts and content around the personal stories of this industry. I come from traditional tech where there's not that loyalty to a company or an industry. And when I came to this industry, it was really cool to see how there are many people that came from nothing, didn't have a college degree, started as leasing agents and have now risen through the ranks. And with that, there are incredible stories and tales that I feel like are often untold. So the vision for the podcast is how do we bring those stories to life and how do we focus on the humans behind the industry rather than their ideas and innovations.
Nice. You've done a couple episodes so far in advanced recording. Yeah. You want to tease anybody that you've interviewed so far and maybe share a little tidbit about them?
Yeah, I mean, the first episode is the one and only Mike Wolber. Mike's been super helpful, even as I've been ideating on the podcast and the idea behind it. We just launched a trailer, so today is, 10/22, I think. Mm-hmm. So the episode is going live on October 24th on all major podcast platforms. But we have a trailer that released yesterday. So follow along the journey. You can follow my LinkedIn. You can follow Zuma's LinkedIn to hear more.
Cool. Well, awesome, man. Where else can they find? How do they find you on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So Shiv Gettu, ShivGettu. Hit the bell on LinkedIn. We're going to be posting a lot. So subscribe, and then follow along Zuma's page as well.
That sounds great, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. That was great, man. Cool.